We'll call this Wednesday morning, October 9th of 2019, meeting of the Criminal Justice Committee to order. We'll start with roll call.
Mr. Hess,
Present.
Mr. Byrne,
Present.
Mr. Lear, Mr. Legess, Mr. Olthoff, Mr. Snipes, Ms. Dunbar, Mr. Ritter, Ms. Parker, Mr. Veerfield, Mr. Carrico, Mr. Eckhoff, Mr. Smith, Ms. Zuccolo, Mr. Wheeler,
Mr. Holtall is not a member. So we'll just count right now.
13, so we should have 7. We have a quorum. Okay, we'll start out public comment. I have not received anything from public comment at this time. Approval of the minutes from September 11th, 2019. Take a motion to approve. Mr. Byrne, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I do not see the chief judge here. Mr. Snipes. Move on to the circuit clerk's report. Sandy cannot be here this morning. There's a copy of her monthly report in the packet. I will take a motion to approve. Mr. Byrne, second. Mr. Smith. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. State's Attorney's Office, Mr. Rowe. In your package, you have a copy of the grand jury report and the grand jury statistics report for September of 2019. I'll take a motion to combine and approve. Mr. Byrne, Ms. Zuccolo, comments on your report, Jim.
That's pretty much all I have to report this month. We're up to 724 grand jury indictments, which is up by another 38. It's a lot. Definitely a lot of cases. We've got about 4 or 5 more grand juries. So, and you can see it's pretty steady. Domestic violence is second still. I'm glad nothing else has eclipsed that, but it'd be nice if those numbers went down drastically.
Any other comments? You have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Right, thank you.
Oh, you didn't leave fast enough.
Too early, man.
Next up, we have the public defender. In your package, you have a copy of the public defender's report, which really looks different this month. Take a motion to approve. Mr. Snipes, second by Mr. Byrne. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I restructured the form. I talked to my staff. I asked that we get all the old files submitted to my office. We have a lot of part-time people. They keep their files in Peatone, Bourbonnais, Kankakee, various locations. They've been sitting on some closed cases, so I asked that they submit them so we can have a more accurate count as to what is pending, what is closed. We're going to break down this a little bit more by next meeting. We're going to, we're going to have the juvenile cases divided between abuse and neglect cases, which are the alleged bad parent cases, and the delinquency cases, so we can get a better feel as to where the resources of my office are going. Lastly, on that issue, we're going to have 2 months submitted by next meeting, so that we'll be up to date. We're 2 months behind for some reason, but that's going to change. So we'll have more timely submissions from this point forward. I just want to let everyone know that there have been some changes within my office. Upon me becoming the head public defender, that opened up my spot. I transferred, or basically promoted, Karen Farmer, who was a part-time assistant public defender. She's been there since the year 2000, and our most senior attorney. She's taken over a full-time position. She has basically taken over my prior role. She's doing the helping courts, primarily drug court, veterans court, custody call. She also has a regular felony caseload, and I am increasing her felony caseload to correspond with her full-time status. With her salary opening up and Mr. Estrella's prior salary, I created another full-time position. I gave that to Becky Cellini. She has been a public defender for 15 years before she left about a year ago. She's going to be doing the juvenile court. I'm not sure how much you guys know about this, but juvenile court's been in flux lately due to manpower changes and a variety of issues that I won't go into at this time. But her forte is juvenile court. She did that for 15 years. She knows what she's doing, and I think she's really going to help the entire process when she takes over a full-time position as of I believe November 1st. Other than that, I have nothing further.
Questions or comments? Mr. Smith?
How does somebody, and I'm looking at Capriotti's line, how does somebody handle nearly 2,000 traffic cases?
Surprisingly well, and I'll give Mr. Capriotti credit on that. It's a high-volume courtroom, and but it is what it is. You know, they're simple cases, they're straightforward, but you know, as of 2:30 on any given day, his call is completely over. He's got time to go over the cases. So you think I would turn that on its head and say, you know, this is a great opportunity to, you know, say how.
Get more people.
Yes, but on this particular issue, obviously, you know, having one person in traffic, I think it's very similar with Mr. Rowe's office. It's difficult. I mean, it's even logistical. Going to the bathroom, talking to a client, it's hard to do when you're the only person there, literally. But you know, like I said, he does it. He does it for now, absolutely. So
Okay.
he threw me a softball and I didn't take it, so I apologize about that.
It's just a high number.
No, it really is. It really is.
Any other questions or comments? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Next up, Mr. Latham. For probation, you have a copy of the monthly report for probation in your packet. Take a motion to approve. Mr. Burns, second by Mr. Fairfield. You did motion, didn't you? Yeah, okay. Comments on your report, Tom?
No, just as you can see, 23, a little over 2,300 successful contacts, 254 drug tests. The only stat I will point out, it says we have 17 juveniles in there. We did for about a day or two. Now that's down to 11 as of this morning. So that's it as far as the report.
Questions for Mr. Latham? Have a motion to second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And just quickly, I've talked to this committee a few times about the pretrial positions the state made available to us that we applied for. All this began with that the bail reform that went into effect back in June of 17. A couple weeks ago, we received word we got the positions. So we'll start, that's effective December 1st. So we'll hire for that and start that unit. And the goal of pretrial is to, you know, greatly reduce our local population in the jail. There's a supervision component to it. We'll supervise them. Reduce our failure to appear warrants, which I think there was over 2,300 warrants issued last year. So there's a cost to that. Our goal is to reduce that. And like I said, they'll report to the jail early in the morning, get information, put together a bond report, be in court that afternoon, and they'll be on bond court and weekends. That information is provided to the court, and then obviously they use that to determine conditions of supervision going forward and who should be released. I think the stats we used in our application which we got from the Sheriff's Department, was on any given 12-month period, there's about 5,500 people booked into the jail. Even if 20% of those people require some sort of supervision, which I think would be higher than that. There's a lot of people that we are not dealing with right now, currently. So it's good news. Like I said, it starts December 1st, and I just wanted to make everybody aware of that. So
And that's 4 positions.
4 positions, yes.
Questions or comments?
It's a much different time with the state. They even called and asked if we needed additional positions, but we said no.
Good.
It's a different time than a few years ago, that's for sure, but that's it as far as some.
October 26th.
Oh, yes, drug court. I'm sorry, the drug court auction at, I had that in my notes, thanks, Roger. Drug court auction, Knights of Columbus. You can contact me for tickets, and I can get them to you right away, so.
Questions, comments? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, you have the sheriff. You have a copy of the monthly report in the packet. Take a motion to approve. Mr. Burns, second by Mr. Snipes. Hope everybody got this electronically earlier too, so
It was early.
I did.
Told you to get early. Told we get it early.
I got mine highlighted.
Oh, good. You get the same markings that I do. Good morning. Nothing really unusual about the monthly report. Our numbers are staying consistent. The one number that sticks out that the chairman of the committee has highlighted as well as I do are the traffic fatalities so far in 2019. We are at 18, which is double of what we were last year. And the majority of which are on state roads, but that doesn't matter. You know, we are identifying where those are happening and why, and we will continue to provide patrol to those, extra patrol to those areas, to try and slow people down. Everything else, like I said, is pretty consistent.
Questions? Mr. Wheeler,
Thank you.
Chairman Wheeler.
No, that's all right. Thanks. Just call me Andy. Our local population is still at a really high level. Have we thought about some type of a diversion program or something to try to keep people out of? Oh, sorry, Jim's here. No, it's just really high. I mean,
That's
So
why
I'm just
that's why probation got all them people.
I mean, is it a trend you see in any particular discipline?
No, it's
of
been
crime?
that way.
Yeah.
It's been that way for a long time. I mean, we honestly thought that the bond reform would reduce that, but it hasn't.
Yeah,
And we work with Jim's office all the time about trying to get people out who really shouldn't be there, or if they're spending more time in jail than they would if they were to get sentenced.
right.
And they're just not there. I mean, it's not that we're housing people that don't belong there.
It just what you said. We thought it was going to go down.
Yeah.
It was at 270, I think, last year, and the year before it might have been 240, 250, and it just seems like keeps going up.
Yeah, it's
So-
staying pretty consistent.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Snipes,
Provide
microphone, please.
You provide 3 meals a day,
3 hots and a cot.
and you provide heat in the wintertime and air conditioning in the summer.
Yeah.
So you want to know why they're coming to the jails and overpopulating it?
Yeah.
Just
Okay, you have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is declaring vehicle surplus.
Yeah, there was 2 vehicles that were declaring surplus, and they should have the explanations next to them. With your approval to move to the full county board.
Should be on the back page of your monthly report.
They basically aren't worth fixing at this point.
Take a motion to approve. Ms. Parker, second by Mr. Snipes. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Vehicle purchase update.
Yeah, we've run into a slight snag with the purchase of vehicles. As this committee recalls, you approved us to buy 11 Tahoes, which are not an issue. You also approved us to purchase 7 Dodge trucks at a very good price when you compare it to what other squad cars and Tahoes are selling for. We got notification shortly after the full county board approved the purchase that Dodge had a couple issues with building this truck, and they were going to notify us once they got this situation rectified. About a week later, they got the situation rectified and said they weren't building trucks in 2019. They wouldn't build until 2020. When I inquired about the pricing, they could not guarantee the same pricing. So my guess is if they can't guarantee that pricing, then it's probably not going to be the same. So we started to look elsewhere, knowing that, you know, we would not find anything that we could purchase that would be of similar capacity. And we looked at the Ford Explorers, which I know that our coroner has, a lot of police agencies have. We don't put an Explorer out on the road for the sole reason that inside those cars they're just not as big as Tahoes, and we have, on every shift, we have a two-person unit, and quite frankly, you can't fit two officers with all their gear and all the equipment that's inside a car. You can't fit them inside a car to work for 8 hours. So rather than purchase Explorers for the road, I'm suggesting that we purchase Explorers to replace these Dodge trucks. Of course, the issue is price. And the total purchase price for the Dodge trucks was $176,928. That was for 7. I am asking that we reduce that number by 1 to 6, and that brings the total price for the Explorers to $196,900, or a difference of $19,975. So basically what I'm asking for today is for this to move to finance, for them to approve the additional $19,000.
Motion to that effect. Mr. Snipes, second by Mr. Byrne. Discussion. Mr. Wheeler.
And I'm assuming Tahoes would be even more than that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So the price for Tahoe, the base price is about $34. The price for Explorers are $32.7 or something like that. So they're a couple $1,000s cheaper.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Snipes.
In the beginning, I know it sounds comical, but to my knowledge, I was dealing with some of the homeless, and to my amazement, I see that they have tents up around the back trail around the river. And it was in a conversation, it was said that,
Can I hold you up for 1 second?
yes.
We're not discussing that. We're talking about vehicles.
Oh, you
right
said
now.
any other, that's why I was asking you.
Any other questions or comments? We're discussing the vehicles right now.
Oh, no, not
Okay.
the vehicles.
All right, then we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
All right,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
okay.
Comments now.
Thank you. So it was interesting that talking to some, they stated that they sometimes, if it gets too hot or cold, that they will do something like a misdemeanor or something just to get into the jail or whatever, because they have a meal and they also have heat and air conditioning as far as that was concerned. And my concern was, you know, I don't think you probably could track that number because you don't know the intent of the individuals, but, you know, if that is the case, that it would be alarming, and it will also lend credence to basically trying to find, since the Salvation Army has kind of closed in that area, some type of shelters. I know the churches say they're doing some things during the cold, harsh winters, but it looks like there's at least a concern to maybe try to, if those numbers can equate into dollars, is to try to look at something as far as a shelter where it doesn't run up our expense. That makes sense, is what I'm saying.
Want me to answer?
Yeah.
I guess I would say probably some of what you're saying is probably accurate in the summertime, springtime, summertime. Fortitude Community Outreach, I know, operates a shelter every day, and we actually work closely with them. And I know that their shelters are, I don't know that they're necessarily full, but I know that a lot of those that are without homes do utilize Fortitude, and they do provide them with meals and overnight and accommodations and heat and air and whatever else they need. So if that's the case and people are getting arrested just to come to jail, I would imagine that would drop a little bit in the winter just because there's another option. So we may want to look at something in the summer that, you know, where we can take care of some people.
Any other questions or comments for the sheriff? Anything else?
Yeah. Yesterday during the county board meeting, I got called out. I got to be careful about this. I got called out because we had a contingent of people who were coming here demanding a tour of our jail. That contingent consisted of U.S. Representative Jesus Chuy Garcia, State Representative from Illinois Lisa Hernandez, State Representative from Illinois Aaron Ortiz, and State Representative Selena Villanueva, along with a Cook County Commissioner named Alma Anaya. And they made a surprise visit because they were concerned about how we were treating ICE detainees. This was not only a surprise, it was a circus. And I know that they showed up wanting me to say, no, you're not coming in. And that would have just exacerbated everything. And while ICE rules require congressional visits to ICE facilities to have 48 hours notice, I made the decision to allow them in and provided a tour for them. Because we really have nothing to hide. Literally, there is nothing in that building that I am ashamed to show people. And so I spent about 4 hours with that contingent, 4 hours out of my day that I hadn't planned for. Now, I'll guarantee you, because I was just out in Washington, D.C. 2 weeks ago, I'll guarantee you if I showed up at Jesus Garcia's office, not only would he not see me, he wouldn't give me 4 hours. And they showed up here thinking that we were going to say, no, get out, and they brought some media contingent with them. And quite frankly, it was pathetic. They referred to, and they didn't refer this to me, they referred to it in the article because that's where they get their information out. I'm not going to pass out their information, but according to an article that's in the Tribune today, an article that was written by somebody from WBEZ who was here as well, there's a 5-page letter of complaint to these representatives and the congressman. I've never seen it. We showed them everything from our medical office, the housing, the recreation. Of course, much like most reporters, a lot of this stuff in here is wrong. Not uncommon, because obviously these reporters have their own agenda as well. But, you know, these people want law enforcement to not follow the law. It's plain and simple. They don't want us to follow the law. And I can tell this committee, and I'll tell anybody, I was sworn to uphold an oath, and I will uphold that oath. And if that's wrong, then so be it. But I don't believe that to be wrong. I think it's the right thing to do. I do have to say that the tour was very cordial. They were very respectful. But to come in here unannounced, march in here like you know, they're going to take over our building, was a circus. And it was specifically designed for us to say, no, you can't come in. And then that would have been all over national news, because that's how they operate. But my conversations with the congressman were very, very good. We both agreed that the issue is in Washington, D.C., and it has to be changed, as I've said 100 times. And until it changes, I'm going to continue what I'm doing. But I just think this Criminal Justice Committee needs to be aware of what we're dealing with on a daily basis from people who don't have a clue and who are hearing things from people inside, or I don't know where, honestly to God, I don't know where they're hearing them. I mean, we were in the medical department, and after the tour with the congressional people, I took the media back there because we don't have anything to hide. Now, I've already sent an email out to the director of the Chicago Field Office of ICE, letting him know that, hey, I might have screwed up. Washington, D.C. might get a little upset that I allowed this congressman in, but I felt at that time it was the best thing to do to avoid the whole process. And I even told the whole contingent, technically we're not supposed to allow you in, but if we decide to make an appointment and let you come back in, you're going to see the same thing 2 days later than you are now. And that's what I told the Chicago office. That's what I told the other individuals that we talked to about it. You're going to see the same thing. We don't change when somebody says, hey, we want a tour. We don't say, hey, go sweep up that floor, or hey, go clean that toilet. Those are things that are done every day. And so this is how the media, and one of the things, and it's interesting because one of the things he said that this is out of the WBEZ article. The surprise visit was organized because the lawmakers wanted to see the real conditions inside the detention center. Garcia said they didn't want to see a sanitized version. And, you know, and it just, and then the other one was, we went down to medical, where you guys know what my medical budget is. We're spending over $1 million on medical staff. Now, one of these articles, and I don't remember which one because, you know, a lot of it's garbage, but one of them says, we had one nurse. Well, I, honest to God, don't know what the hell they were looking at. Because there was about 5 people in there, in and out. We had a PA in there. We had a nurse practitioner in there. We had 2 RNs. We had the secretary down there who does the scheduling for the appointments. And this article comes out and says, and this is why, I mean, and I don't want to get into the whole fake news stuff because that's all national stuff, but they saw it. And they still wrote in their article, there was one nurse. Now, if we got one nurse and our budget's over $1 million, I want that job.
Yeah, you bet.
So, you know, just to give you guys a heads up of where we're at with this, you know, this won't end. We'll continue until things change in Washington, D.C., and I can tell you that we'll continue to do our job, and we'll do it right, and we'll treat these people like you would want to be treated, like we do every day. And credit to the corrections staff that was there, or credit to Chief Kalawenzu, Chief Schultz, who do a great job in dealing with not only ICE, but the marshals, our locals. You know, it's just a shame that people with their own agenda come in and want to degrade people and tell you you're not doing a good job, and, you know, think that things are wrong, and take the word of, you know, they even referred to people in here, and we told them, we go pick up people right out of prison. And they're sitting in our jail, but apparently that's, you know, they still want those people out on the street. So, anyway, just to keep you aware. That's all I got.
I don't think we need comments on that, do we? Okay, Brenda, I'm sorry, Mr. Cool.
I'm just curious, what did they say when they left? Were they impressed with the facility, or
Well, if
Did
you
they
read
give
the
you any
article,
feedback?
if you read the articles, they weren't impressed.
no? So those articles were written after they came through?
Yeah, well, see, I don't know what was preconceived, what was pre-written, what they had. So, in the 2 hours that I slept last night, after being so pissed off about this whole process,
Imagine.
you know, there was a lot of questions that they asked that were related to what is referred to in this article of some of the complaints. And we answered their questions as we would whether there was a complaint or not. We've not seen the complaint. We've not seen the letter. It's supposedly a 5-page letter. I did email Chicago this morning and asked to see it because I don't believe it. But Like I said, the whole process was cordial. Everything was cordial, but the afterwards in the quotes and people are in here for a broken tail light and all that, and I can give them a whole list of people who are in here for aggravated criminal sexual assault, and I'm guessing that they want those people on the street too. But that's just my interpretation from what they're talking about. So.
Mr. Snipes?
Nothing so much about the investigation, but I would probably be, if I was a government official sitting in the offices of Congress and in the state, I would probably be thoroughly ticked off for Garcia, and I know Garcia, know him when he was alderman before he became congressman, to step into a district or congressional district where there is an elected congressional person by the name of Robin Kelly.
Who has been in here.
Who has been, and so as a result, without informing her or contacting her, or at the state level, Lindsay Parkhurst, who would, if you were to come over into my particular district, there's something called professional courtesy that they should have extended. Whether or not you come into people's, I understand your position. It's a very judgment call position when you're saying, I don't want the media circus, but you also have the right to respond to something that's negative, because if they right, you have the right to put in a rebuttal and to basically say, since it was called off guard, since you see that this was the case, and we do have nurses, blah, 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 whatever, and that's your call. But I would be highly upset whether if someone just comes in my district and all of a sudden I'm reading in a paper all of this garbage, because I think that's just it undermines the ethic process. And I think that Ms. Kelly and Lynn Parker should be informed as far as that's concerned, because you just don't show up.
Yeah.
And then in my district, it's just not an ethical or moral or even just what we call downright professional courtesy was not extended. And I would agree with you. I would have been highly upset, and I would have made some phone calls thereafter, because it appears as if they was coming for one purpose, but that purpose really wasn't to, I guess, see how they were doing. It was to underlying cause to try to undermine, and I believe in this case you all did an exemplary job in opening up the doors and then showing them. So you still, your department has my appreciation and kudos.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a sideshow. It was strictly to get us to say no, so that they can make a bigger issue out of it. And like I said, we had nothing to hide. So anybody's welcome.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Next up, the coroner's office. You have a copy of the monthly report and the monthly receipts of money. Take a motion to approve. Mr. Burns, second by Ms. Dunbar. Comments on your report,
Morning,
sir?
Mr. Chairman.
Good morning.
And everybody else. This is our autopsies are a little bit on the uprise right now in the last couple of months. And just to note all the way to the bottom of this page that we have here, that there's 9 incompletes right now. So you might see stuff with the sheriff mentioned about fatalities here. We still have all our cases are not back yet. So they'll probably be in that range of 15 or 16 fatalities already in that. Also, if you note also too, and I say like we've had 11 autopsies in September. Also, if you look down there, outside autopsies, we perform the outside autopsies too. So actually we're doing 15 autopsies in a month wise. So we're staying pretty busy over there, and already in the month of October we're up on autopsies. Just to give you an upgrade on that. Other than that, you can go ahead and vote on that.
Yep. Any questions or comments on the two reports? Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Just an update of where we're at with the OD cases. I must say out there, our statistics-wise, which we learned yesterday, I sit on, and also my chief deputy Eric is, we sit on a opioid committee at Riverside, and we learn about all the different Narcans that are produced out there. And if we didn't have Narcan right now out in the field out there, you could almost triple our autopsies. That's how bad it is out there. So that's a great saver of that, and we still got 325,000 this year, so we're in pretty good shape on that. We're at 19 overdoses right now, 5 pending, which would bring us back to right around 24. Our statistics for thought I had that. We were 29 last year, I believe, weren't we? Overdoses. On the back? Did I forget it? Yeah, 29. Anyhow, we're 5 pending, but also too, last night we had another heroin overdose, so we know that's going to be 6 pending now that we're working on. Average age is still around 41. That's going to drop a little bit because we had a couple of 20-year-olds that went down. Male-wise, it's right equal with the male and female on the deaths. Race, it's Caucasians at 17 and Afro-Americans at 2. The rest of that, what we're looking at basically is a lot of cocaine is now coming to our stage here, also along with the heroin and fentanyl. These are the drugs that are hitting us pretty heavy right now. Coming on strong, they had another OD with a possibility of a save in Kankakee yesterday at the gas station in Washington and Court. I went in there and got, so you know that was alerted to KMAG and to the officers in that area because you know that probably was bought somewhere in that area. So it's a constant workout. Just want to let you know that we're still holding on. I'm sorry, I saw it right here, Eric. We're still holding on to our budget pretty good. At this point here, we're way under budget there. It looks pretty good on our aspect. We're holding pretty tight on that. So other than that, I'll take any questions out there.
Questions? Mr. Snipes?
It's 63 degrees in the morgue.
Oftentimes you are out in the county, and sometimes you're unaware of some of the work that you do. On Sunday, a lady testified in our church, and I can repeat it because, you know, it's on DVD. But her son had OD'd, and they had feared the worst. But because of the Narcan, you were all able to save him. 2 individuals that are prominent, but the son OD'd, and they expressed much kudos. So it's something that you didn't hear, but something that was testified to the church or whatever of the work that I already know that you do. But it is also nice when you, I'm not nice to hear that a person's OD, but it's nice to hear when they have accolades that's coming and they testifying to others. And you're accustomed with the church because you've been there, you and Jim have been there. And it's just that they testified to the fact that you all say had it not, they'd have been having a funeral service. So again, and there was a cost savings because the person didn't have insurance if they would have died. So that means that would have been another burden. So don't know how much Norcan is, but at least it saved them between $6,500 and $8,500 to have to put away someone. So on their behalf, I say thank you.
Thank you very much. And like I said, we're blessed to have that, and thank God we do have that out there. It would have cost the county a heck of a lot more money.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, sir.
All right.
Any old business to come before the committee? Any old business? Any new business to come before the committee? Chairman Wheeler.
Thank you. Last night I received a notification that is effective as of today, that there's an opening in County Board District 9. Shane Ritter resigned from the board, so I'm announcing that opening right now. We'll get the notification sent out to the proper people today. So that opening is announced today.
Thank you. Any other business? I'll just say early happy birthday to the Chief Deputy Coroner for tomorrow. Get that in there. Take a motion to adjourn. Ms. Sculo, second by Ms. Dunbar. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Make sure we get all the copies signed over here, please.